Our presentation today will introduce you to the requirements for the safe use of our Holter 1265 Supercut panel saw. Hi, my name is Mike Jones and welcome to another edition of the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild's ongoing series of machine safety videos. Now normally, our videos only cover the safety concerns of our machines. However, we're taking this opportunity to introduce you to how to use the Holter Supercut panel saw. This saw is relatively easy and safe to use, but there are specific steps you need to master to use this saw. Remember, if you need assistance or guidance on the use of this machine or any other machine in the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild shop, you should seek out one of the on-duty foremen for assistance. To get started, first make sure the area around the saw is clear of any obstructions or obstacles that might interfere with your work. To the left and rear of the saw, you will find the power switch, which is a red rotary knob, and a compressed air supply valve, also with a red handle. Turn the power switch on and turn the air on. The air is on when you have the handle of the air valve running parallel to the supply line. If either of these steps are left out, that machine will not start. The Holter Supercut panel saw is capable of cross-cutting or ripping stock up to 72 inches wide by 12 feet long. This saw is made for handling large 4x8 sheets of plywood. This panel saw eliminates the need to wrestle with a 4x8 sheet of plywood on our crosscut or rip table saws, and the accuracy is every bit as great. To start, determine what is the best way to optimize your rip or crosscut of your sheet goods. If you intend to rip the 8-foot length of your sheet stock, it's best to lay the sheet on its long side on the base track. You also have the ability to rip your stock on the mid-rail supports if you want to rip or crosscut narrower stock. To crosscut stock vertically, you can do so with stock up to 72 inches in size. First, ensure that the orange saw head is oriented for vertical cutting. The blade guard, which is the white portion of the saw assembly, will be vertical. You'll need to set the indexing bar into the stop that is marked at the top of the machine. This positions the saw to cut your vertical cut. Next, set the depth of your cut according to the thickness of your sheet stock. The scale on the side of the adjusting bar has a white scale that allows you to easily set that depth of cut. This also prevents the saw from cutting into the backing rack. Next, set the stop block to the width you intend to cut. Again, there is an easily accessible scale to set the width of your cut and position your stop block. By pulling down on the stop block at the appropriate width, this will lock your stop at your desired width. Pull your sheet stock to the left and set it against this stop block. Next, you will set the cut depth pressure wheel, which also has a scale showing the material thickness that you are cutting. This is adjusted by using the clamp lever at the end of the cut depth pressure wheel. By setting this correctly, this prevents you from cutting too deep and into the backing rack. The two black handles attached to the saw head should be disengaged by pulling out and pushing the saw head to the top of your stock in a position to start your cut. At this point, the white spring-loaded blade guard should only overlap the top of your stock by roughly 1 inch. Turn the saw on. That's the green button on the right. You engage the saw carriage by using the two black carriage handles and push in and pull down once you have the pressure wheel touching the face of your stock. Now, pull down on the black handles, moving the carriage all the way down to complete your cut. When the cut is complete, release the pressure on the black handle so that the saw blade retracts away from the material and then turn the saw off. Return the saw head to your start position at the top of the sheet. Wait for the saw blade to stop rotating and then remove your cut-off material. If you have multiple cuts to make at that first dimension, move your stock to the previously set stop and repeat the steps that we just went through. If you have material you want to rip, place your sheet stock on the base track or fold down the mid-backing supports to raise your material to a more comfortable height. When ripping stock on the Holt's Hair Supercut panel saw, the rip cut goes from left to right. So you need to set your stop to the right side of your material. This will ensure that the material is held in place while you perform your rip cut. To orient the saw head for rip cutting, you will need to rotate the saw head. This is done by rotating the saw head counterclockwise to the horizontal position. Secure the locking lever back into that locked position by rotating it to the right. This is the lever with the black knob located under the saw. At this point, you'll need to make sure that the indexing bar is disengaged by lifting the bar on the right side of the saw head. At that top rail, you see the arrows indicating the détentes for that indexing bar. That bar will only lock down at those locations marked by an arrow. This indexing bar has to be released to do a horizontal rip cut. You will need to position the saw head at the proper point to make your rip cut. Again, using the vertical orange scale on the machine to set the width of your rip cut. Make sure that the 3-inch locking knob is turned to the right to lock the saw in place. This also engages the pneumatically controlled backing rack, and it will position itself so that the saw blade does not cut into the backing rack. What that does is that puts the blade in between the back rails and locks the saw in vertically. Turn the saw on with the green button on the right. Using the 2 black handles on the saw carriage, push in and engage the blade into your stock and push the assembly to the right. As you make your cut, be aware when you have cut approximately halfway into your total length of cut, insert a shim or a wedge in the already completed kerf. This helps support your material so that you can complete your rip cut and not pinch the blade and possibly damage your stock. Disengage the saw carriage and turn off the power with the red button. Return the saw carriage to the start position at the left side of the sheet. When the saw blade has stopped rotating, remove your cutoff piece. This is Mike Jones for the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild. Thank you for watching.